Hello everyone and a very warm welcome and a special Jai Hind to my young friends. So today I'm going to tell you some very interesting stories about India's Republic Day, and then we'll do a fun family activity which doesn't involve making a tricolor. Let's see. So we all know that 26th January is the day our country celebrates our Republic Day, and if you ask me why do we celebrate that, is because it's the day that our country formally adopted or started following the Constitution of India. And what is the Constitution, you ask me? Well, Constitution is the governing document, or you can call it the guidebook or the rule book that our government needs to be able to run our country. So we all know that our country got independence on the 15th of August 1947, but a lot of us don't know is that we were still following the rules and regulations of the British Empire under the Government of India Act, which is being signed here in 1935, and according to that, King George VI was still our constitutional monarch, and we were a dominion or a part of the British Empire. So of course we had independence, but we wouldn't want to be still a dominion of theirs, isn't it? So a year before we got independence, in the June of 1946, a special draft committee was set up for India to have its own constitution and have its own democratically elected republic of a government. So the here's the picture of all the people who were in the drafting committee. Dr. Ambedkar here, he was the chairperson, the chairman of the committee, and this committee met for several meetings over almost 3 years to decide and write down the idea of India. And what was great about this whole thing was that common people, ordinary people like you and me, could go for these meetings and give their ideas and their suggestions about what our country should be all about. Another interesting fact that I wanted to show you is that there were about 15 women who were also part of this drafting committee. So even back then, women were really involved in writing down this idea of India. So after almost 3 years that they took to finish writing the document, it was officially signed by all the 308 Legislative Assembly members, and these people signed the document, all of them together, on the 26th of November 1949. So you might ask me that why is that day not celebrated as a Republic Day then? Well, the reason that we celebrated on 26 Jan 1950 is that many years ago, I'm talking about the year 1930, the same date, Jan 26, was the year the Indian National Congress declared Purna Swaraj, a declaration of complete and total independence from the British. They declared this, and to commemorate and pay a tribute to that historic day, we decided to adopt the constitution not in November but the following January. So we all know that Mahatma Gandhi is the father of the nation. I'd like to also point out that the father of our constitution is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Now I'd like to tell you some very interesting stories behind the constitution and what happened while we were making it. So the constitution of our country is written in both English and in Hindi. Here is the preamble, which is pretty much like the first page of our constitution. Our constitution is the longest, the lengthiest constitution in the entire world, and only about 1,000 copies of the constitution are available, and they were not printed in the regular way that you and I know. They were actually lithographs. So I am an architect by profession, and I have a lot of leaning towards art. So I'd like to also talk to you about the constitution actually being a work of art. Apart from the beautiful designs that you see here, the beautiful calligraphy or decorative handwriting was done by this gentleman, Prem Bihari Raizada. It took him 6 months to do it in his wonderful handwriting, a very painstaking exercise. And the best part, he did not charge a single rupee to do that. A true patriot he was. Now each of the about 22 chapters that our constitution has had beautiful artwork. So we have things from Mohenjo-daro, we have the Shivji here, and scenes from the Ramayana, we have scenes from the Gurukul, Emperor Ashoka, Emperor Akbar, Rani Lakshmibai, Mahatma Gandhi, and so many scenes of Indian natural countryside. So these illustrations in the constitution were done by Nandalal Bose and his team from Shantiniketan. And if you're ever lucky to be able to go to the Parliament Library, you would see that the original constitution is kept there in a helium-filled casket to protect it. You remember it's actually been written a very long time back. Now, to tell you a little bit more about the Constitution, I'm coming back to the preamble page. So, the preamble page talks about we, the people of India, talking about the Constitution of India, what all our Constitution promises us, and then in the end, we say that we adopt and enact this Constitution for ourselves. So, our Constitution is actually, in a way, a promise document between us and our government, and which gives us all that we need to know what are our different rights and freedoms that we have in our country. So, very interesting thing is that our constitution actually adopted a lot of ideas from other constitutions across the world. So if you see this line, we the people of India, that came from the American Constitution. And here when we talk about equality, liberty and fraternity, that comes from the French Constitution. We have also adopted ideas from the Irish, the German, the Australian and the ex-Soviet constitutions as well. So what does the Constitution mean for you and me? Well, it means that in our country, there is equal justice. Everybody is equal in the eyes of the law. Whether you're a man or a woman, we have equal opportunities. And what else? It also means that in our country, we are free. Freedom for faith, whatever religion that we want to practice, we have the freedom to do that. We have the freedom of thought, of expression. And one of the most wonderful things of us being a democracy and a republic is that everyone over the age of 18 gets to have the right to vote and choose who forms our government. So since a lot of children are also watching this, I would like to talk about what the Constitution is giving children. In the Constitution, you and me, kids and adults, we are all equally citizens. So you're as much a citizen of this country as your parents are. You have as much equal opportunity to grow up and become whatever you want to be. You have a right to education, and there are other rights and privileges also that the Constitution gives specifically for children. Now there are two very interesting books to understand the Constitution for small children. One is called We, the Children of India, written by the Supreme Court Judge Leela Seth. There's another one called Constitution of India for Children. These are all in the age groups for 5 and above, and this one is for 8 to 12-year-olds. I think it's also helpful for adults to really understand what our Constitution means. So, on Republic Day in 1950, apart from us becoming a republic, there were a lot of other things that also happened. First thing is that Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first president of our country. And here you see him inspecting the Constitution. See how thick it is. And on his side is Nandalal Bose, who I remember I told you was the illustrator for the Constitution, and Prem Bihari Raizada, who was the calligrapher for our Constitution. 2 days before the Constitution was adopted on the 24th of January, Jana Gana Mana became the national anthem of our country. It was written by Rabindranath Tagore, originally in Bengali, and then it was translated. And I'm sure all of you, we learn to sing it right when we are in school. And if there's any one of you who doesn't know how to sing it yet, well, then this is the time to start learning. Another great thing that happened on the first Republic Day was the Indian Air Force got its independence. So before that, it was called the Royal Indian Air Force, which was actually a part of the Royal Air Force, which was British for many, many years, in fact, even after independence. And if you see the change from having the crown of the Royal Indian Air Force, they got the other Indian national emblem and got freedom from the British Royal Air Force. Now, it's also the day the country got our own national emblem, which is the lion's capital of Ashoka. Here you see it. And below it is written Satyamev Jayate, which is the national motto of our country, which means truth alone triumphs. And many, many years later, in 1965, on Republic Day, Hindi became the official language for our country. Now, if I was to ask you, what is the name of our country? We'll all say India, isn't it? But actually, look closely. If you see your passports, the name of our country is the Republic of India, and our passports have not only the national emblem that I just spoke to you about, it also has the national motto of our country. So these are small details, but it's always interesting to be up to date about it, isn't it? So, how do we celebrate this Republic Day in our country? Well, all over the country, in schools, we have march pasts and functions. In different state capitals and smaller towns, we have our own parades. Some places, we have the governors unfurling the flag, we sing the national anthem. But the grandest and biggest celebration of our Republic takes place in New Delhi on Rajpath at the Republic Day Parade, which is by far the biggest extravaganza we have in our country. Now, you could say there are other countries which have huge, massive parades which are much larger in scale and maybe even pomp. But what I think makes our Republic Day parade special is the sheer diversity and the richness of the different cultures of our country. This is what makes it special. I always call it the 3-hour mega movie, like a Bollywood movie, to basically for all of us to see how beautiful and how diverse our country really is. Now, there are a lot of little things about the Republic Day parade which a lot of us don't know, because when we see the parade, there are a lot of little details and behind the scenes that we are not really aware of, and I wanted to bring you up to date on that. Now, there is a very big symbolism in the route of the parade. So, we all know that the parade starts from Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is where the president, the head of our country, lives. And in earlier times, it was also the Viceroy House, which is where the British envoy used to live. Now, the parade goes down Rajpath to India Gate and then turns and goes to the Red Fort. And why does it go to the Red Fort? Because even before the British came, it was the Mughals that ruled our country, and their seat of government was the Red Fort. So it's very symbolic. It goes from New Delhi and what India is now to Old Delhi and who ruled India earlier. So the parade route is quite long. It's about 8 kilometers long, and the main part that is on Rajpath is about 3.5 kilometers. So it's quite a long parade, isn't it? Now, a very interesting part is also the fact that the first 5 Republic Day parades actually did not take place on Rajpath. They happened in the Ramlila Maidan, at Red Fort, at National Stadium, but it was only in 1955 that the first Republic Day parade actually took over Rajpath. So that's a very interesting fact a lot of us don't really know about. Now, before the parade starts, there's a very important ceremony that takes place, and this ceremony is at the Amar Jawan Jyoti. It's to pay tribute to the fallen soldiers who've given up their lives for our country. And here the ceremony is conducted. The Prime Minister and the 3 heads of the armed forces, they go down to lay a wreath there. This Amar Jawan Jyoti, or the eternal flame, is always kept alive. In fact, there are 2 people whose sole job is to make sure that nothing happens to the Jawan Jyoti. And this is a symbol of the Jawans who've fallen, the rifle and the military helmet. Now, since last year, 2020, this ceremony has actually now moved. It's been shifted to the War Memorial. The War Memorial is the first really big memorial to all the fallen soldiers in our country. And if you see here, the Amar Jyoti has been now shifted here, and last year it was even the first woman defense minister of our country here who also attended this ceremony. Now, another thing we know is that every year our country invites another head of state to be the chief guest of our Republic Day function along with the President and the Prime Minister. And this year, for the first time in over 50 years, we will not have a chief guest. Boris Johnson was supposed to be our chief guest. He is the Prime Minister of the UK. But due to the COVID pandemic, this year we will not have a chief guest. I'm showing you an older picture here just to give you an idea when President Obama visited India a few years ago. Now, coming back to the parade. Lots of things happen at the parade. We have the military bands. We have almost 20 military bands every year. We have about 25 marching and cavalry contingents that take part. We have these lovely floats, the cultural tableaus. We have the fly past. We have all the latest defense equipment that our country has to show all of us. It's the only time of the year actually that we get to see what all is our country using to defend us. And of course, we have the daredevilry stunts performed by the various armed forces. So pretty much a little bit of all of this we already know. But I want to point out some really interesting bits. For instance, we have so many animals that participate in the parade. I don't think so many countries have what we have. We have camels, we have elephants, and we have horses, if you look carefully. And 5 years ago, we even had a contingent of dogs. So I'm sure that all the dog lovers out there would love to know this. And they participated in the Republic Day parade. And you know, even when they don't participate, they are such a big part of the parade and the preparations that go into it, because a lot of the armed forces employ dogs as sniffer dogs for security purpose. So we may not see them, but they are definitely part of the entire arrangement. Now, since a lot of children are watching this video, I wanted to talk about the National Bravery Awards. So the National Bravery Awards are given to 25 children from all over the country. Their names are shortlisted. And why are they given these awards? Because they have been incredibly courageous and brave in very difficult circumstances. Some of them have even saved other lives. So these children are brought to Delhi. They take part in the parade. They are either on the elephants or on jeeps, which is such an honor for them and for us to see them literally firsthand. Now, a day before the Republic Day parade, what happens is that these children have a special function in their honor, if you can see here, and the Prime Minister of the country, he gives them certificates and a medal, and they even get to meet the President of the country at Rashtrapati Bhavan. So it's a really wonderful tribute to pay to all these daredevil kids. Another interesting fact about kids in the parade is that there are about 1,500 school children and NCC cadets who take part in the Republic Day parade every year. 1,500. A lot of them are from government schools in Delhi, and what is really remarkable is that these kids are practicing for months before the actual event. And if you remember that the parade happens on the 26th of January, so it is very, very cold. It is peak winter, and a lot of them start really early on the day of the parade at 3 a.m. in the morning. It's dark and it's very, very cold, and you won't even see them wearing any woolens when the actual parade has started. And for the most part, they walk or they dance or they run on the route. So it's a lot of distance, but look at their enthusiasm, their energy, and the sheer excitement on their faces. Now, this is a very, very fun part for me personally. I love these cultural tableaus or floats, as we call them. Now, every year you have about 22 floats that take part on the parade. And why not more? Because we have more states, we even have more ministries, so many ministries. But you know, it's not easy to get a slot to be able to get your float on the parade. There is a selection process, and only the very best designs are chosen, and they are the ones who go on the Republic Day parade. This year, for 26 Jan, Ladakh will be sending their float for the very first time. And here I wanted to show you, look at all these dancers who are dancing pretty much the entire way, and then there are other people doing what they are doing. And what I've always found very interesting is, you know, whoever the driver may be, they have such a small little window to be able to see the road through. So much of preparation and so much of hard work that goes behind each one of these tableaus. And I believe they are even awarded prizes based on which were the really best ones every year. Now, for the last few years, we are noticing more and more women are taking part in the Republic Day parade from the armed forces. So last year in 2020, we had Captain Tanya Shergill. She is a military adjutant and she was the first woman military adjutant to lead an all-male contingent that happened last year, and I'm sure this is just the first of many more to follow. In fact, it's only recently that more and more women are getting permanent commissions in the armed forces. Now this year is even more spectacular because this year we have Bhavna Kantia, who is one of the first 3 women fighter pilots that our country has. She is going to be taking part as the first woman fighter pilot at Rajpath in the flypast. And another first is that we are going to have the Rafale aircraft that have just come from France. They are the latest in defense. So we are very excited, all of us, to see them. I am very lucky. I live at a place where the flypast literally goes over my head in Delhi. So I'm going to probably watch it from my terrace. So telling you a little bit more about the flypast, there are about 42 aircrafts that take part in the Air Force flypast, and they come from different Air Force stations, and they all collect at Rajpath at the exact time that they need to, right down to the last microsecond that is planned so well. And this is probably the highlight, the part that everybody wants to see at the parade. Now, about 6-7 months before the parade starts, the preparations for it are already underway. You may not see it in Delhi when you're traveling around Rajpath, but in really cold places where some of these contingents are placed, they are literally practicing in the snow in very difficult climate. And if you were to actually see the practice sessions, here we have some CRPF women. They are practicing the daredevilry stunts. How difficult it is to actually do them. So many hours of practice that go into them. Sometimes they are even practicing at the crack of dawn. You don't even have any sunlight and it's very cold. And with those all long hours of standing on their feet, there you have some of them doing some stretching exercises. So these are the nice fun moments that we get to see behind the scenes. And if you were to see this, here's someone taking care of every small little detail, the clothes, the rifles, every small detail of their uniforms is taken care of. Now, the Republic Day may be over on the 26th, but the celebrations last. And the last day of the celebration, which is the closing of the celebration, happens on the 29th of January at Vijay Chowk. It's called the Beating of the Retreat. Now, why do we call it the Beating of the Retreat? Because in earlier times, when there was war, at sunset, there was no electricity, remember? So at sunset, all the warfare would stop and each of the 2 camps would go back to their respective camps and rest for the night at sunset. So it was called the retreat, to go back, which is why the Beating of the Retreat has its particular name. Now, the Beating of the Retreat takes place at Vijay Chowk. It's at the foot of Rashtrapati Bhavan, which is somewhere here, and it's performed by the 3 armed forces, all the 3 wings, the Navy, the Army, the Air Force. They have military bands that prepare these wonderful musical tunes. It's a musical extravaganza. Anybody who lives in Delhi has either seen it or is really wanting to get the passes to get to go and see it. So mostly the people sit around the actual ceremony, and the musical compositions that they play, a lot of them are from British times, and over the years since independence, new compositions are added every year. So if you see this picture, you see the president who presides over this. Of course, you can't see him, he's got his back here, and the 3 heads of the armed forces, and the bands come down Rajpath and they perform in these areas at the back and then in the foreground, and it's a lovely ceremony. There are a lot of military parades like this all over the world. There's something called the military tattoo in Britain, but this one is really spectacular for us Indians. Over the years they've added these wonderful special effects, so I'm sure you all are going to really love it if you get to see it. My particular favorite is the backdrop of this ceremony, which is where these two camels stand absolutely still for the entire duration of the ceremony. And the most lovely part of it is the lighting. You know, the Rashtrapati Bhavan, the north and south block are lit up beautifully. It's like a Diwali for us. And there's not a single Delhiite who hasn't gone and seen this. Not one, not two, but several times. Now I'm going to show you the activity that we are doing today. So I'm not asking you to make a tricolor or anything to do with the tricolor. I'm asking you to make your own family constitution. So how did I do this? Well, what I did was I took a printout of the preamble of the Constitution. I've removed the written part here, but I retained the bottom. So if you're lazy and you want to cheat, you can just use this and you can write down the family constitution. I'll tell you what we're going to write here. Or you can do what I did and make a really nice decorative frame. So you can either draw pictures here or you can get them from the net and stick them. And if you're computer savvy, maybe you can use Photoshop. So what are we going to write here? Well, we are going to write Constitution, name of our family, which is our surname. Then we write our family motto. What is our family motto? So our country's motto is Satyamev Jayate. What would you like your family motto to be? And then what else do we write? What are our values? So what does our family stand for? Is it unconditional love? Is it mutual respect? Is it trust? Is it being there for each other no matter what? It's up to you. Let the whole family sit down together and decide what would they like to write in the Constitution. What next? How do we live our lives? So here I want you to talk about, do you have a family sport? Do you have a particular destination, travel destination that you all love that you must go? Is there a family dish like the pizza, maybe your favorite food? I don't know. But you can sit down together, put your heads together and come up with what your lives are all about. And the last thing is, what are our family's rules? So do we have gadget times? Do we have times that the whole meals are eaten together by all the family members? Again, up to you. It's a personal thing. Let's sit down and see what our rules are. And then in the end, we can write that together we adopt and give ourselves this constitution and have all our signatures in the family. So I think it's lovely. For the frame, what have I done? So I took things from my life. So, I put hugs there, I put kiss there, I put a heart emoji, and what else? I love books, so I put this there. Then if you like mountains or if you like beaches, you can put those things there. What else is there? Caring for the environment is right here. Caring for your grandparents, eating healthy, and then my favorite flower. So maybe you have a family flower as well. Respect, friendship, and doing things together. And then I put something about trust and hugs. So lots and lots of things we can put. It's up to you. You can even put family photographs there if you want. You can just really zoom them in and put out some pictures. So I think all of us would love to make them. I would love to see if you can send me those pictures of what it is that you've done, and you can frame it up and the family can remember it forever. So I hope all of the kids and the adults' parents really liked doing this, seeing this Republic Day special. I really enjoyed researching and making it for you. So I'll close by saying Jai Hind and have a wonderful, wonderful Republic Day. Be up nice and early at 9 a.m. to catch it on the 26th. And I really hope you enjoyed watching this session. Thank you.